In light of everything going on right now, if you're a VTuber or just a fan, you can't avoid this topic on any social platform. For most, it's just the latest drama, the news to follow, or the most recent polarizing topic making its rounds. But for me, it dredges up memories of my time in a black company, which, as you can imagine, are not good. Originally, I tried to address this topic with a lighthearted, semi-educational video on my channel. And please, do go watch that if you have about 10 minutes. I am really proud of it, and the link is in the description. But it didn't properly convey just how bad these kinds of places are and what the toll is that they can take on you personally. The closest I can compare it to is an abusive relationship, where one party mentally abuses the other. You have no idea what it's like unless you're on the receiving end of it. But hey, you're different, right? You'd never fall for that, because you're too smart. You'd see any bad people coming from a mile away and just avoid them, right? But if you listen to stories of those who have been through that hell, they'll say that's exactly what they thought. But here they are, months or even years later, right where they said they would never be, forever changed. Hopefully, as I tell you my experiences, you'll see just how valid a comparison this is. Naturally, I'll be changing up some of the details in the interest of privacy and my well-being. So please don't quiz me on this, because I won't elaborate for safety's sake. To set the scene, I was looking for a job and found what looked to be the role of a lifetime. The kind of job that wasn't even a job. You just get to do what you're passionate about and even get paid for it. And I thought, why not? It couldn't hurt, because you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. So I excitedly applied. And after a nail-biting amount of time, I got the good news, and I was ecstatic. I couldn't believe it. So many people wanted this job, and I got it. Me, of all people. How lucky was I? I was eager to get started, and I wanted to pour all of this newly found excitement into my role. And when you start at a new company, everyone's high energy, welcoming you in, teaching you just what is so great about them, and helping you to drink the Kool-Aid, and to be a positive promoter of the company. And while yes, that does sound sus, it's actually very normal. To believe in the company means you're happier and less likely to leave it, which would cause them to hire a new person, which of course would cost them more money. And everything will seem normal for a while in this type of company, because their goal is to get you comfortable, get you reliant and invested, and that will take time. And after a while, you begin to pick up on little things. They don't seem like much, and they may just be your imagination. So, no action is taken, and you just go back to work and let more time pass. Then, my manager comes to me, and now they've got some urgent request, and it just suddenly appeared, so the deadline is not too far away, and extra hours are going to be needed. And as they're telling me about the situation, in it is weaved praise for my work and other subtle flattery about how they count on me, etc. And in the moment, it feels really good to be both needed and valued. So of course I put in those extra hours, and sometimes I wouldn't even have a personal life or proper sleep just to get things done in time. I'd wake up, get to work, and try not to stop working until I fell asleep, because my manager kept checking in on my progress. So I feel the pressure to complete it all. And throughout these sudden ordeals, I just assumed the rest of the company was working just as hard as I was, so it felt normal and expected. Part of the work family banding together to keep the roof on and the lights flickering. And since we were not next to each other, I couldn't just peek over a cubicle and see anyone else. This was all remote. But as time went by, little things were accidentally leaked to me that I was, in fact, the only one working like this. Other people were just not working, but getting paid, hanging out with managers, etc. The human mind tries to rationalize things like this at first. Maybe I was the only one that could do the work, and Maybe they just got all of their work done and had time to spare. I mean, it could just be gossip too, right? You shouldn't believe everything you hear, so you just keep going. But as time goes by, it happens too frequently to be coincidence. And at the same time, the same people always seem to have an easy time of things while you're slaving away. The people around you are also beginning to sour, and the cliques are starting to show. If you're not with them, they are quietly against you because you are a threat to them. Originally, you thought nothing of it, believing that they were just friend groups that you didn't fit into. But of course, you're still friendly with everyone at work. But for some reason, a few people just are against you. And you hear some comments from other people, and even a few backhanded remarks in your presence. But none of it makes sense because you can't think of any reason why, or what you could possibly have done to upset them. So now we're adding in toxic coworkers to our extra long hours, which at this point are daily. And this means we're getting no meaningful rest. You're finally starting to realize that this place is unfair, and that you're certainly being given an uneven share of the work. But there have been unfair jobs in the past, but this is on a whole other level. However, you haven't heard of a black company at this point, so you think that's all it is, just an unfair workplace, and there has to be some remedy to fix everything. But there's still more going on that you don't know yet, so it's going to get much worse later on. In a normal company, there's an impartial human resources department, or even a reputable manager that you can go to with any concern that you might have. Sadly, HR here is close to the managers, who are clearly part of the problem. So without anyone to go to, you check your sanity with a coworker who seems to be honest. But behind your back, some of them go to the manager and spill everything, which benefits them because they'll now have an easier time at work, while yours will become more difficult. And you can't even prove who it was. But how else would that manager know? But at this point, you're so gaslit you may as well be Burning Mountain in Australia or the town from Silent Hill. Because all you have for evidence is a story from your point of view. No solid evidence. And of course, no one's going to back you up, even if you had somebody who is going to listen to you with the intent to fix it. But here's where you start to realize just exactly how intricate this trap really is when you go to try and find a way out. But finding a new job takes time. Time looking, time interviewing, and time repeating all of those steps until you get hired. And all of this on top of your regular job. However, your job isn't a normal one. You have very long hours with no time to have a life. So you have to find this time somehow in order to make your escape. So you try to dial back all of that excess work to make the time. But your boss notices and pressures you. Now there's no subtle flattery to make you feel good about it. They don't need to anymore. You are already so deep that you can't get out. That's when fear of losing your job kicks in. And you have come to the realization that they pay you so little that you could never save. And if you lost your job, you would be homeless very fast with nowhere to go. The only way that I found to get out was to take whatever job I could. Ones that didn't care about a perfect interview or what your past was like. Literally anything would be better. And so that's what I did. I took the first low-level job that I was offered just to get out of there. And in doing this, I set my career back by many years. But I feared more what would have happened should I have stayed there any longer. And to give you a bit of an insight into how I was feeling, I felt insane. I was very mentally unwell. I felt trapped. And later I found out that I was also being watched. And of course, I was targeted for no reason. My whole existence at this company was to be a nearly 24-hour cheap labor that did the work of more than one person. Just to let a privileged few get a free paycheck, which, by the way, was paid in cash under the table. And when I finally had that new job lined up and I gave my notice, I was so happy. I felt like I was finally free. But my manager exploded. He made all kinds of wild accusations against me, even refusing to pay me for my last month unless I could prove in detail that I actually did my work, saying that he has been stalking my personal Facebook account, and he saw me posting about job interviews, and of course I could clearly not do my work if I was going to interviews. Begrudgingly, I made a detailed list of everything that I did with proof. And naturally, they dragged their feet in paying me, and in doing so, they forced me to have to borrow money in order to just feed myself and not lose my apartment. It was a dark time in my life. I was angry, and I was broken. A proper way to visualize this is the epilogue about the boiling frog. If you haven't heard it before, it's a cautionary tale about being aware of gradual change as it could lead to disastrous consequences. The tale goes that if you drop a frog into boiling water, it will sense the danger and immediately hop to safety. However, if you place the frog into room temperature water and slowly raise the temperature to a boil, the frog won't notice, and may even enjoy the water at some point, just like a nice hot bath. But in the end, well, it's the end. This is why people outside of an abusive situation or a toxic black company say they'll never fall for it, because they're only watching the boiling water. And who would put their hand in that, right? Plus, it also explains why myself and others don't know their situation until it's so bad and too late. All of this is orchestrated and structured against you, all for the benefit of those above you and those in on it. Some may be going with the flow, following the leader, doing bad things to the unlucky ones just so they themselves are not on the receiving end. But regardless of their reasoning, it's predatory and toxic behavior that values their own lives and livelihoods above others, to the point where those like myself mentally break down and may think living on this planet just isn't worth it anymore. Every single person has a breaking point, and I personally hope that you never find out what yours is like I have. And in short, black companies are no joke. It's not a trend, and it should never be forgotten about because they exist. Also, thank you for making it this far into my video. I really appreciate it. If you know anyone who would benefit from hearing this message, please share it with them. Or just share it in general so it can reach a wider audience. And any love from my channel or this specific video is greatly appreciated. Also, let me know in the comments what your thoughts were. And hopefully you weren't in a similar situation, but if you were, feel free to share that as well. And if you walk away from this video with anything, please go with the knowledge that your gut instinct is honed through over 200,000 years worth of evolution. And while it can't understand the complexity of the modern world, or even how a stapler works, it does one thing very, very well, and that is sensing when you are in danger. Stay safe and stay focused, my Foxy fam. Keep your safety at the forefront and get yourselves out of those bad situations as soon as you see even one bubble on the water's surface. And until next time, stay foxy.